It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of May 24th, 2002, with 3 films to look at for this Memorial Day weekend. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Christopher Nolan's Insomnia. So in this movie you have 2 Los Angeles homicide detectives, played by Al Pacino and Hilary Swank, investigating the murder of a teenage girl in Night Mute, Alaska. After the killer witnesses an accidental shooting committed by one of the detectives, they create a plan for both parties to mutually avoid prosecution. The killer being played by Robin Williams. A very different role for Robin Williams. And one of the reasons why this movie is amazing, I mean, this is a movie where you have Robin Williams playing somebody completely off character, and not in the it's a different role from either his comedy or those Oscar baity dramatic roles that he was in. This is a role that is completely different from what we've seen him in before. He did a lot of this during the course of the decade, taking these darker movies. I mean, Depths of Smoochy is probably a good example. Depths of Smoochy was an example of going darker, but this 1 Hour Photo, The Final Cut, The Night Listener, he was even on Law and Order SVU in a very out of character role for him. Like, it's interesting to see the direction that Robin Williams decided to go with, and you know what? He makes it work. I mean, this movie, he does come off as very intimidating. He's not the goofy Robin Williams that we've come to know and love, which is not a bad thing. And I mean, that's really what I like about this, is that it's a completely different role for him personally, and he's got 2 really good people to work off of, Al Pacino and Hilary Swank. They're all Oscar winners, and you know, Memento was the film that introduced everybody to Christopher Nolan. This is the movie that I think showed what Christopher Nolan could do as a filmmaker, because the way this movie is shot, the way the film is presented, it's very, very unique, very unusual for a movie of this caliber. And believe it or not, it was the last time he directed an R-rated film up until Oppenheimer this past year, which is saying a lot. I mean, you completely forget that something like, The Dark Knight or something like Inception got a PG-13 rating. Inception maybe, but The Dark Knight, yeah, it's amazing how that got a PG-13 rating with some of the stuff they got away with in that one. But yeah, Insomnia really is a very good film. It's based off of a remake of a 1997 Norwegian film, which I've never seen, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. But I definitely did like this one too. Also, no, this is the only film that Nolan has not written or co-written. I mean, he's written a lot of his movies, but this is the only one that he's never written, and it's very interesting to see that, because you could definitely tell that the script overall, it's good, but it isn't that flair that Christopher Nolan usually brings to the table with his movies, and you'll see that as we go down the road here with movies coming up with his name attached to them. But if you ever wanted to see a movie where he does not have a hand in the script overall, this is definitely that film. And like I said, it's not bad. It's not bad that he didn't write the film, but it's very different than what we're used to seeing from Nolan's work when he's not involved in the filmmaking process. And Al Pacino's character is great in this movie. He's playing a character who is basically trying to solve this murder, but he can't get to sleep, and he's going through, like, there's points where he feels like he's going through various days without getting any sleep. And even if I've been through this type of situation where I've had a day or so when I couldn't get any sleep. That's the worst feeling in the world. And I've only had that happen for 1 day. The fact that he had this going on for 4 days straight and even more than that too. It's just like I don't know how he was able to pull this off, but movie magic, I guess. But yeah, everybody in here works. Al Pacino, Robin Williams, Hilary Swank. A cast that also includes Maura Tierney, Martin Donovan, Nicky Katt. A lot of good tension, a lot of good mysterious elements to it. The mystery is very good, even though you know who the killer is. You're trying to figure out how's he gonna keep doing this when they got these 2 detectives on his trail. It's just like they do a pretty good job of handling that. It's a very entertaining film, a role that's completely outside of the norm from Robin Williams, which I think is it's a way to go in his case. But it's a great film. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. You know what you're going to expect from it. You're going to usually get a great movie out of it. And I recommend Insomnia if you have not seen it. But yeah, definitely check it out, Insomnia. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is DreamWorks' latest animated feature, their first since Shrek, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. So this was their big follow-up to Shrek, after Shrek became an Oscar winner and a box office hit and put them on the map. this is their first 2D animated film they've done since Road to El Dorado, because they had Chicken Run, which was a stop motion film, and then Shrek, of course. And the story of this movie is that you have Spirit, a Tiger Mustang stallion voiced by Matt Damon through inner dialogue. So he's not really talking, it's just his dialogue doing the narration for him, who was captured during the American Indian War by the United States Cavalry. He is freed by a native man named Little Creek, who attempts to lead him back into the Lakota village. In contrast to the way animals are portrayed in an anthropomorphic style in other animated features, Shrek I got Shrek on the brain right now. Shrek is life, but Spirit and his fellow horses communicate with each other through non-logistical sounds and body language like real horses, which is, I think, a very good idea. I mean, Bambi is one of the best examples of how you can have an interesting story going on without really a whole lot of dialogue to it. And really, when I watched this movie the first time, I thought it was alright, but after seeing that god-awful movie, Spirit Untamed, that movie made me appreciate this movie a lot more than I did before. And I never said I didn't like the movie, per se. I remember watching it once or twice and thinking, like, it's alright. I mean, it's nothing too special, but after watching Untamed, I have to give this movie a lot more credit than it actually gets, because, you know, for DreamWorks, it's the most ambitious movie they had done up to that point as a young upstart studio that just had its first major blockbuster hit in Shrek. And to immediately follow it up with, like I said, kind of their equivalent to Bambi in a way, it focuses more on a visual approach that most movies of its type would, and there's more emphasis on the emotions of the characters and having, you know, the goofy talking animals like DreamWorks really have down the road. There are no talking animals in here. The only animal speaking is the narration of Matt Damon, and even then, it's just the character talking, but through his thoughts. And this animation still looks incredible. This was back when 2D animation was on the downward spiral. It was fading out with most theatrical releases because they were realizing that CG is the way to go, and it was costing more and more to make, and it wasn't returning much of a profit. And this movie definitely shows that money going into full effect here. But then again, when you have somebody like James Baxter, who is a phenomenal animator, you may not know that name in particular, but you have definitely seen his work before. If you grew up with the Disney movies of the 90s, he was one of the head animators on The Lion King. You know, he worked on Roger Rabbit. He worked on Hunchback of Notre Dame. He did a ton of movies, and you could tell whenever you see his animation style, if you watch him closely, like anytime you see his animation style, you could definitely tell, oh yeah, that's definitely him. It's just like I said, if you haven't seen his work before, if you don't know who he is, you've definitely, regardless of Toy Boat, I'm getting confused here, but regardless if you've never heard of his name before, you have definitely seen his work before. And what he does with this movie is impressive. The animation overall is just incredible, and you know, I like the movie's message too. It gets across, making it stand out more and more now than ever before. You know, you got a lot of deep, heavy topical elements that aren't preachy, but are well represented, and it doesn't dumb itself down to the kids. I mean, you know, unlike the, you know, obviously god-awful CG sequels, but not this film. Like I said, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron is actually more impressive than I gave it any credit for. It plays with your expectations a lot. It wasn't just a typical movie centering around a horse. It took chances. It wasn't afraid to talk down to kids with its story and message. I mean, a horse escapes colonizers and befriends a Native American. There's a lot of deep, heavy issues and message getting across in this movie, and it's done fairly well when it's not preachy, but it feels authentically done. It's a movie that I really found myself enjoying more and more as time goes on. And after Spirit Untamed, I was just kind of like, you know what? I give this movie a lot more credit than it has any right to be, because this is a film that definitely deserves a lot more attention than it gets. See this one, avoid that god-awful movie Spirit Untamed, for the love of God. Speaking of movies that you should probably also avoid too, let's go ahead and take a look at our last film, and that is Jennifer Lopez in the thriller Enough. So yeah, if this didn't have Jennifer Lopez in the main credits, this probably would have been a Lifetime Movie of the Week, easily. Because, let's talk about the plot. Local waitress Slim Miller, what a stupid name that is. Slim Miller, played by Jennifer Lopez, discovers that the dream man she married isn't who she thought he was. Shocker. Slim and her young daughter try to escape, aided by her previous boyfriend, but the now villainous husband pursues her relentlessly. Fearing also for the safety of her daughter, Slim decides that there's only one way out of the marriage. Kill him. And, yeah, like I said, if this was a Lifetime, Jennifer Lopez, if she wasn't involved in this would have been the Lifetime Movie of the Week. And, it's got great people behind it. Michael Apton's a great director. Nicholas Kazan is a really good director who's made a lot of good stuff. And I mean, Jennifer Lopez has proven time and time again that she can be a really good actress if you put her in something good. But I'm sorry, this is just a bad movie. This is a terrible, terrible film that is nothing but a Lifetime movie of the week that has been blown up because they got a top actress instead of like a, you know, I don't know, Meredith Baxter Birney or Judith Light or whoever was a popular star in the 1980s. And this is a 2002 movie. I don't know. I'm just thinking, yeah, there's nothing about this movie that's enjoyable. Like, you don't feel like any real sense of it. You don't feel any real emotions between any of the characters in here that are really being abused here. It's just like, this is a movie that's it's just bad. Like, it's a terrible movie. It's a terribly written storyline. There's no element to the storyline where it makes any sense whatsoever. And it's really a piece of exploitation. Like, it's really exploiting the idea of spousal abuse, and you can't do this in a way like this. Like this movie only exists to do one thing, and that's get women who are just like, you know, they've been beaten by somebody or somebody's treating them badly. It's just like, you know what I think I should do? I should go hurt that person badly, or even kill him. Like, that's what a movie like this really is trying to get out there, and like, that's not a thing that you want to have going out there. Like, you can't have a movie like this that's basically supporting the idea of killing somebody who treated you so badly, or beating them to senseless, or beating them into submission. It's just like there are ways to do this where it doesn't feel exploitive, but this is the definition of an exploitive movie that just does not have anything about it whatsoever that makes it memorable or stand out on its own. It's a movie that is just, it's an abysmal movie, and it's a waste of the talents of the people involved, especially Jennifer Lopez, who has done so much better acting roles than this. This just feels like a missed opportunity on so many levels. A good director, a good writer, and they all came together and made a movie that was basically the definition of a movie that would be literally seen as a Lifetime movie of the week. But because it's Jennifer Lopez in the opening titles, it's just like, blow it up for the big screen, and her fans will come. We'll throw one of her new songs on there just to get people in the theater. And yeah, needless to say, the course of the last year with Mariah Carey, Britney Spears, and now Jennifer Lopez, it has not been a good year so far. What are we at now? Probably 7-8 months. It's not been a good 7-8 months for music stars blowing up on the big screen. Aaliyah is another example with Queen of the Damned. It's just like, but yeah, I'm just rambling on right here. This is a bad movie. This is just a terrible, terrible movie that gets a wrong kind of message out there, and Jennifer Lopez deserves much better than this. Everybody involved in this deserves much better than this garbage. Avoid it like the plague, plain and simple. Or as the title says, enough. I forgot to add that in at the end of my review, but that's going to do it for this episode of Time About the Movies. And speaking of times when I want to say enough is enough, next time we'll take a look at two movies. The first one being the worst Jack Ryan movie, no question about it, The Sum of All Fears with Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman. And we'll take a look at that one. We'll also take a look at Eddie Griffin in the comedy Undercover Brothers. So, two films we'll take a look at next time, but until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.